Hello everyone, welcome to this ChatGPT tutorial. I would like to take you through my book, which I actually already wrote 5 months ago. It's this one, ChatGPT Ultimate Guide, Improve Anything You Do. The idea behind it is that actually when you enter the intro screen of ChatGPT, there are only a few hints on what you can do with it, some capabilities and limitations. Overall, I find this very poor, and it gave me idea. Once I actually started experimenting with it back in December and January, I immediately had a lot of ideas on the capabilities, on what it can do. So I started to write my own book. That's the one. Here we can see the table of contents where I actually try to give it some structure on useful things, the day to day, daily practical things that you can do with ChatGPT. And within each of the category inside, you can find a lot of useful prompts or instructions for the bot to give you output or content you want. Uh, During this series of videos, I would like to take you through the whole book, through each of the section that you can see in here. Eventually, I don't know actually how many videos it will take. I suppose four, three, four, maybe five videos today. Today, I would like to create this part. So that's three major sections: ask, create, and change, and relevant subcategories within these. So that's what I would like to have a look at with you today, and eventually we will continue further on. Then once we finish with the showcasing and explanation and experimentation with the prompts from this book, then we have many different avenues we can explore on what is actually possible with ChatGPT, and not only ChatGPT, but other tools and artificial intelligence in general as well. So stay tuned. Find all the relevant links below this video, and let's start with our book and specific prompts and how we can use them. So while there are actually many tools already now that you can use together with ChatGPT, be it browser extensions or ChatGPT plugins in the premium version. In this series, I would like to just explore the basic version because I would like to focus on the core capabilities of the technology and the tool that is large language model like ChatGPT, on the tool itself. Then there are various extensions which we can also explore in the future. But like I said, this is what I would like to. I would like this to be a course on core ChatGPT and eventually other large language model textual capabilities. Let's have a look. Like I said, let's start with the first one, which is ask, where I have a subcategory called summarize. And here we can already see the list of the prompts I have. Um I think this one is just amazing learning tool because you can take any. Well, first of all, you can take any famous book or movie or actually a theater play or anything that actually been written and recorded uh, there is a quite good chance that it has been included in the training data for the ChatGPT. So, if it's a famous historical book or a movie that has been made before 2021, then there's a good chance ChatGPT will know about it. And if it knows about it, then you can ask kind of detailed questions about those specific books or movies. So that's the first thing. So movies are let's say for fun mostly, but when it comes to books, I think it's very interesting because you can ask ChatGPT for an explanation on any book, and not only explanation in general, but you can really ask for specific for specific things. So as you can see, summarize the main plot. Uh, Give me a brief summary. So they might be similar, but actually they will give you different results. What are some of the most memorable moments from the movie or a book? Give me the highlights, most important events. Can you explain the symbolism in a movie or a book? This I find very interesting because that's actually where all the students now can use ChatGPT and similar technologies to do their homework, because it will simply give you all the ideas and answers regarding any book that your teacher might ask of you. Um, Anyway, set that aside. It's a great tool to actually educate yourself. So I find these prompts very interesting. Explain the themes, discuss the motives, analyze the characters. So you can ask for the characters that are in the movie or the book. Ask for their profile or psychology, their motives, you know, then we can take it even further. Let's say, ask what this character from this book or a movie might do in and a certain situation. So, you can experiment further on, but let's not go there just yet. Can you describe the atmosphere? Tell me about the settings. Highlight the main conflicts, significance of the title. So why the book or the movie was significant in its time, right? Maybe why it still resonates to this day. So all of these questions they can be answered by simply placing these questions in the ChatGPT. Can you discuss the cultural impact of a movie or a book? So I find these all very interesting, and so I wrote these and to give you these ideas. And here you can see these within these brackets, square brackets. These are so-called placeholders. So here you can just place your own movie or a book or whatever, and try and have a look at what the GPT will give you. So besides specific known and or famous artworks or books or anything like that, we can also feed it our own text or any other text that is actually current or relevant to us or to today, which the Chat GPT actually doesn't know about. So that's the part here when we can ask for the ideas or ask ChatGPT to give us an overview of our text, summarize our text, or just summarize the main points in our text, or give us the main takeaways from our text. So let's say you have a transcription of a meeting, and you will simply copy this prompt, Then it will place the transcription of the meeting here inside your text. Ask ChatGPT, and it will give you the main takeaways. Um, so that's the idea. How it works. I'm pretty sure most of you will know, but let's have a look at it anyway. So this is our interface with ChatGPT. Um when we go through summarizing something ChatGPT doesn't know about, so obviously here I have an article from June 28th, which is yesterday. OpenAI ChatGPT app can now search the web, but only via Bing. Actually, now we know that we have a Bing. We can use Bing, which is actually also kind of search engine with artificial intelligence. So it uses GPT technology and Bing, a search engine. So it actually gives you current information. But there are some advantages to it. Well, obviously the major one being connected to the internet. There are some downsides to how it works and what answers you can actually expect from it. So it's another theme and another avenue we will explore in the future. For now, I would like to explore on ChatGPT itself, but I would like to just show you how it can summarize the article. This one actually is not that long, but let's say it would be much longer article, and then it might come in handy quite a lot. If I'm not lazy, I would do something like this. So I copy this whole thing and I bring this whole thing to this input interface. And let's say they would like to use summarize. Let's. Do it like this. Summarize this text in one sentence. Let's have a look what it does. So I will go back to my prompt and okay, I will copy it here. Summarize this text in one sentence. I will take this text, take copies, and inside these I will actually replace them with quotation marks because this will give the bot a better understanding on what is actually this text that should be summarized into one sentence. We should always be clear in specifying what we want from the bot, so you have to understand that it can only read this text in a sequence. So let's make it easy for him. So let's make some kind of separators of what is the contextual text and what is the actual instruction on what to do with the text. So this is our instruction. Summarize this text in one sentence, and the text is actually the context we provide. So let's have a look what it will spit out. And we have one sentence. OpenAI ChatGPT app available to subscribers of ChatGPT Plus now includes a browsing feature called Browsing, which allows users to search the web using Bing for information beyond the model's training data, providing a useful research tool, although some users find the restriction to Bing limiting and potentially biased. So here we go. It summarized. We didn't have to read it. It summarized actually in one sentence the whole idea, and I think, considering how short the article is, I think it gave us the gist of it. And now you can go through and read the article yourself, but I'm actually pretty satisfied. So that's the idea. That's the idea behind this summary and all of the others. And actually, so how you can copy your own text and give the context to ChatGPT and ask it by the instruction for what you want. When it comes to those books or movies, I think it's actually very interesting because you might have your own ideas of on what books or movies you might want to discuss with ChatGPT. But what I find actually very interesting is that you can actually even ask ChatGPT itself for those ideas, which is actually another chapter which we will discuss shortly by itself. But since we are already here talking about books and their summaries and key points and ideas, let's ask ChatGPT actually about what kind of books we should be interested in. So give us 10 most interesting books in history. Let's just go with this. Hey, I'm just continuing with the conversation. Okay, Iliad Odyssey, well, Divine Comedy, Don Quixote, Pride and Prejudice. Well, these are like obviously Western. Okay, okay. So actually, the thing is that first of all, we see that it did generated 10 interesting books in history or very known books, at least to Western culture. Actually, it started with some old ones, then it went to more modern times. Anyway, uh, it did what I asked, but maybe all of us might have a different ideas on what are actually the most interesting books in history, and that's where actually now we can see how ChatGPT is biased, meaning obviously it has its own ideas based on what it has been trained upon, what is actually good or what might be considered good. Because let's say that a lot of people on the internet said that this specific book is good or should be known, or people should respect it in some way, and therefore from this collection of this information, the bot has been taught to follow this pattern and this structure on how to talk about this book or any other any other historical written piece. Um, anyway, we might be brainstorming further on to have ChatGPT give us a different list of different books which we might find more interesting. Anyway, since we already have some ideas, and I think most of us would find interesting, let's say 1984 by George Orwell or Lord of the Rings. But let's go with 1984 by George Orwell, a dystopian novel that portrays a totalitarian regime. Okay, we or most of us probably know. Let's go back to our book and have a look at one of our examples. Can you explain what might be the most interesting mm, for our 1984 book? What message? Hmm? What message does the book convey? So let's go with this prompt. That's let's tell him book 1984 convey. He should understand it from the context. What message does book 1984 convey? So again, once again, I just copied my prompt from the book and I replaced the placeholder with the specific context, which is the book 1984. So let's ask. The book conveys a powerful message about the dangers of totalitarianism, government surveillance, and the manipulation of truth. Set in a dystopian future, the novel depicts a totalitarian regime ruled by the party and its leader, Big Brother. The central theme of the book is the control and manipulation of information. The party exerts its power by rewriting history, manipulating language through the creation of newspeak, and using constant surveillance to monitor and control its citizens. Well, so there we go. I think this is pretty interesting. There are other things you might be doing right now. and we will be exploring them in more detail in the future. But just to give you a hint, you might be talking to the book. Let's say you want to dive deep on the 1984 book. So you will simply go on within this conversation and keep on asking your questions that are interesting to you. Or you might ask for the main characters, then you might ask what the main character might do in certain situation, or let's say you might ask ChatGPT to give you alternative versions of the storyline of how the story or the book develops, or you can ask for a counter arguments on the paper that somebody wrote. So all of these are possibilities, and actually, it's only about what you can actually imagine what you can do. Okay, so that's just the first part, our asking, our summarization, and now we can move on to the second one, which is explain. All right, so let's start explaining. This is also very interesting. It's similar to summary or extracting some key points or ideas from a book, but explanation is another topic, another skill that the ChatGPT can actually do. And what is actually most interesting is that it can actually explain. It can make different analogies or metaphors, and it can adjust the level of the text, be it the length or difficulty. It can adjust to a point where it actually becomes clear for anyone. So it can write text that is actually understandable for a child, or it can write a text that is understandable for a regular person who knows nothing about medicine or a law, but it can actually explain some very complicated text to you in layman terms. So I think this is another avenue of ChatGPT that is just mind blowing. Um, so explain topic to child. Let's go to the screen of ChatGPT. I'm interested now. Explain quantum computing in simple terms. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. But I mean, when you come here and see this this hint, explain quantum computing in simple terms. I mean, okay, let's. I mean, I'm not sure I asked it. Let's ask it. I'm not sure I posed this question before. So let's ask for a simple explanation of quantum computing. Quantum computing is a fascinating field that uses principles of quantum physics to perform calculations in a completely different way. Okay. Basic idea. 0 or 1 represent information. Quantum computers use quantum bits or qubits which can represent 0, 1, or both at the same time. Superposition. Okay, okay. Well, I mean, some of us might have some idea, some of us know. I mean, even now, probably, some of us don't actually know what this talks about. But I think we might consider this to actually it actually really tries to understand to explain quantum computing in simple terms, right? I mean, but obviously when you talk about certain subjects such as quantum computing, there is only certain threshold or level of simplicity that you can reach. So that's it. Anyway, okay, so let's try explain quantum computing To a child, as per our prompt, right? Explain. So we have explained quantum computing to a child. So let's go with that. Sure. Imagine you have a toy that can be in different colors, like red or blue. Well, this actually already seems like a far better result than have the ChatGPT explain to me in simple terms, right? That's what was suggested by ChatGPT, but now I just change it to explain it to a child and not in a simple terms, and we can see the immediate difference in the output of what it actually told us. And maybe now we can actually read the content, and actually it will be much more understandable to many more people than the first response. So let's have a look. Imagine you have a toy that can be different colors, like red or blue. Now, a regular computer uses something like on and off switch to do calculations. It's like having a light that can be either on or off. But a quantum computer is like a special toy that can be in multiple colors at the same time. So it can be both red and blue at once. Well, this is already a much better and simpler explanation, and also really an explanation that you might be considering using when explaining something like this to a child, right? I mean, it still might be really better off if you really understand quantum computing on a far more advanced level when you want to explain it. But I'm sure that right now this gives you a really good idea of how powerful the explanatory skill of ChatGPT can be, and actually also how actually poor the hints from ChatGPT are on the introductory screen, and actually how big of a difference even a small change in a prompt makes. So explain something in a simple terms and explain something to a child. And what we saw was really, really interesting. So, then you can go on, and that's the gist of it. And with these other prompts, obviously, you can have a look, and it can provide you, let's say sometimes you want to simplify terms, you want to simplify an explanation, but sometimes you want a more detailed explanation, so we ask for that. Sometimes you want main arguments from a topic, or back again from our book, right? Explain it to me. What is the argument the author of the paper or the book is making, or what is the main argument of this specific page of the book or whatever. Can you elaborate on the key concept? So first of all, you can ask for the key concept within any written content, and then you ask it to elaborate. Give me elaboration, elaborate on the content, and tell me more. Brainstorm on the content. Give me counter argument to the concepts. Give me more in-depth explanation. Can you break down the structure and organization of this? So we have a long document, a long paper. There are some limits to the context of the language. We will talk about that. But I mean, it can handle pretty lengthy text. So you can always feed it several pages of text, and then brainstorm about those, or have it simplify for you, or extract the key points, extract the titles or ideas. Well, that's what we talked about. Um, so you can talk about specific things, ask for explanation, and then in this part I gave some ideas about the famous known scientific areas, or proofs, or things like that. So that might be interesting for you now to explore, because up until now you might not be thinking that you might understand something about how the brain works, that it's only for the doctors, or whatever, or scientists. But now you can ask the artificial intelligence for a simple, not for a simple explanation, but to tell you, like it would tell to a child, how the brain works, how the electricity works, how the water cycles on the planet. All of these things, all of these basic things, especially those things that you might be afraid to ask, or might find embarrassing to ask somebody else, because you might because all of us might be thinking that there are things we should really know, but we don't know. So here is the chance to ask ChatGPT for really anything you are curious about. You've always tried to understand, but just couldn't grasp it. I'm using it every day to teach myself new things, to simply ask for how something works. Is something possible to do in a certain way? What are the possibilities? Are there tools? Anything like that. So here you can read some of these. You can use them. You most of all, I want you to give you ideas. I want to give you tools and ideas, and to broaden your minds on what is actually possible to do. So that's the explain part. Okay, one last thing to give you another idea, and let's do it. I once already asked if it could explain, not to a child, but what's also interesting is that I asked it to explain electricity to Socrates. So, not to a child, but the idea is here to give it a context. So, actually, the language model knows that who Socrates was, that it was a famous philosopher, it was a Greek philosopher who lived a long time ago, and it will use that knowledge based on this context. So, it will try to explain electricity to this person that actually lived 2000 years ago, and didn't actually know many of the things that are necessary to know to actually develop and understand electricity. So let's have a look. Socrates. Let me explain the concept of electricity to you. It actually even tries to talk right away, like in ancient speech. In ancient times, the understanding was not yet developed, but I will do my best to explain it in terms you can grasp. Electricity is a fascinating force that exists in our world. It is a type of energy that can do many things. Think of it as a mysterious power that flows through certain materials, like lightning during a storm. Uh, you may be familiar with the phenomenon of static electricity. Have you ever rubbed a piece of amber against cloth and noticed that it attracts small objects like hair? That's a simple demonstration of electricity. When you rub the amber, it gains the invisible charge, which is like a special force. Okay, so you can actually see that that's exactly what I was trying to tell you. That it actually takes the context of trying to explain some concept of some technology to somebody that actually somebody who lived a long time ago and couldn't have any idea of how something like that could work. But it tries to make the analogy, the metaphors, it tries to make the connection of how you could actually approach that. So this is very interesting. This is for two purposes, actually, to teach yourself, to educate yourself, and to simply experiment and have fun and imagine what conversation might people in history have with each other, or about certain topics, or historical events that happened or are happening. So I think this is just great, just very interesting. So so that's the explanatory part. Okay, and the final one, just the list. So it's actually similar to summary and explain, but just so you know, you can ask ChatGPT to give you a list of something. Can you provide me a reference list? Can you list all the items that are related to a specific topic? list. Take this list that you actually provide and explain each item in detail, uh, or you can actually give it a text and ask ChatGPT to make it into a list or extract the key information into a list. So then it straight away gives you bullet points of what you are asking. So that's more of a like a format of the output it actually gives you. So it's not just a paragraph of text, but it actually bullet points which you can copy out and use straight away. So this is the section of asking, and I think I will cut the video here and actually continue with the section create in another video, which I will be recording soon. But I really think it should go into the second one. So I hope you enjoyed this first part. Like I said in the beginning, let me know any questions you might have. I will be really glad to read it and I will answer all of you. Subscribe and stay tuned for more videos in the future. Take care.